I think we're live. So I
Okay.
guess Felipe here, the your crazy creative designer from Germany, welcoming my dear brother, cousin, friend, and beautiful profession, Pedro here for a short podcast. I wanted to bring him on. He's a marketing genius. He makes shit happen. He makes stuff happen. And so it's a pleasure to have him as one of the first podcasts ever that I'm doing here for you guys, for us as well. And yeah, in I invited him to speak about the advantages of marketing, the difficulties and the challenges of marketing, coming from somebody who works with that, who has worked with that his entire life. And so, yeah, he's much better than I am in this respect, and I am very thankful that you could come over, Pedro. Thanks, mate.
Man, thanks for the nice words. Like you were saying much higher word, better words than But yes, I'm working in this field for quite a while now. Like especially in the casino industry.
Yeah,
So it's been super intense last few years working in this field. I think casino gambling, we have a very high competitive environment, and you have to be update all the time.
mm,
You have to study, you have to try to improve your tools.
right.
It's super interesting word, man. Like my field at the moment, yes, quite fast environment field, I would say. But
Yeah,
thanks
very
for
cool. So,
having me.
yeah,
I'm very looking forward for this conversation. Yeah.
yeah, me too. We wanted to do this for a long time, and it's finally happening. So it's like Christmas, Christmas morning. You run down, you open the presents, and then you're happy, right? So that's the same idea here. Opening presents, opening ideas, and yeah, once again, man, pleasure to have you here. So maybe do you want to talk a little bit about your career, how you got into marketing? What was the transition from Brazil to Europe? Just give us a little bit of overview how you got into this industry.
Man, it was quite of unexpected, I would say. I did law degree a few years ago when I was in Brazil. So when I had the idea to move to Europe, everything
Yeah.
happened. I wanted to do my citizenship. I wanted to have the experience of living in European countries. So back to times, I start from zero, pretty much. I moved to Italy for a while, end up in
Mm.
Ireland. So one day I applied for a job in the tiny Gibraltar, is a British overseas territories.
Yeah.
Then they need a guy just to speak English and Portuguese, and I was doing customer support. And after 1 year, a guy who was doing marketing left the company, and they need a guy
Mm.
specifically from Brazil. So
Mm.
they heard that I was doing a good job in my position, so they invite me to join the marketing team. Uh, and I told them back to China, hey, I don't know anything about marketing. Just I had some lectures in the school, but never practiced. And they said, don't worry, like we're gonna teach you gambling. There's no gambling university, like you kind of there are many online courses now. There are
Mm.
even books like some experts that you can study for sure,
Right.
but most of I can say and I can see in the industry, when people get in, you learn in the practice, so you
Mm.
day by day you start learning, and like that's how it happened with me. And by the way, this is super interesting thing that's happening nowadays. I can see, like nobody asked to me today after quite years of experience. No company asked me, "Hey, show me
Right.
your marketing CV or something." I don't have it. Like I
Right.
have no CV. Nobody asked. But as my CV now is quite strong, like they want to know if you can perform that. Yeah. So like
Okay.
quite interesting, I think, tendency, like I can see nowadays. But
Right.
answer to your
Yeah.
question, yeah, this was quite unexpected. I started this career by mistake, but by yeah, but it was great, man. It was great because I have good people with me. I think
Cool.
I, people I met back to times in this company called Lotoland. They were lovely, they were kind, they gave me the shortcuts in this industry. So I think I learned super fast. And it was a very successful story
Mm.
in this company because this is quite funny. I would say there was a guy there working before, and he was from Portugal. And you know, Portugal is not the same as long as we speak the same language. It's not the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
accent, not the same way we use grammar. And when I
Sure.
arrived, apparently he has like this great experience. Uh, and when I arrived without experience, but having good mentors, I think it was a very nice mix because with the mentors I had
Mm,
there and putting my touch, I was Brazilian, was native. I changed his communication, you know, that's one point of I can see in this industry. Like it's very important to you to
right.
speak to public in the way they want to be heard. You know, like we are, like in my case, was working for Brazilian market, so like you cannot target Brazilian audience with a Portuguese uh, perspective. Portuguese from Portugal, they use the sentence in a different way as Brazilians
Right.
uh, using it. So we use a lot of present continuous in our like the formulation of our phrases and stuff like that. You know, so they use the phrases in a different way. So when I changed the content in this case, and I had good mentoring in the company to give me the
Right.
shortcuts, it was a very successful story. I beat the numbers of the company. I did the records in this company back to times. This was
Awesome. Right.
2018, 2019. It was quite funny. So, and this just show if in this industry, in the marketing industry, if you have good people with you, like if you follow some interesting subjects we can discuss here, as content, for example, as localization, that as this call, you can have a successful story, you know, like, and
Right.
I noticed that
Right.
very short in my career, how important is to target your audience the way they are used to, you know. So uh, that's my first thought I can comment to you. But yeah, that was my entrance in this world, and super intense and super fast I start to understand lots of concepts about marketing, how important they are.
Right. Right. That's a really rich answer, and sounds to me like you're always a little bit under pressure because you're learning in practice, right? You don't have a theory. You gotta do, right. You gotta perform. You gotta reach the targets, and you gotta make some results. And what you mentioned about the differences in cultural relevance and how to talk to people, especially even grammar, right? Even the present continuous. And, that reminds me of a concept called linguistic relativism. I'm not sure if you know this. Maybe you do. I think you do. Where, depending on how you think, that's how you're going to speak. So if you think in Portuguese, you act a certain way. If you think in English, you act a different way. So do you think this has an impact on the experiences that you had? So maybe thinking in Brazilian Portuguese makes you act differently than thinking in Portuguese for Portugal, right?
That's correct. Definitely, I think there is a correlation about languages. Like, I believe now, for example, in my life, as I lived in Spain for example, 5 years now. Like, I've been in Europe for the last 10 years. Like, my English improved so much during this time. I wouldn't say I'm perfect guy. I wouldn't say I have the perfect grammar, but I can say to you. It's indeed our brain works differently and it reflects our personality. So
Right.
when I try to formulate sentences in English, my brain and my character, my personality acts in a different way. If I'm in a native language as a Brazilian Portuguese, I think I might my parts of brains are different to formulate sentences as well. In Spanish, it's happened the
Right.
same. When I use the language in Spanish, I feel I'm a different person. I am like maybe more like this Latin part of comes out.
Yeah.
But funny, I agree with you. Uh, and and again, like it's the way. What's very important for me now, and professionals they say to me, they say, "Wow, but can you work in all those languages? Your grammar is perfect. Can you perform that and that? When you have a big team, for example, what's important, I believe, another key in this field that we work together, like you too, you are a guy who has to communicate with your customers, no, with your audience and stuff like that. So you have to know how to communicate. That's a
Right.
key in my point of view. And grammar today, you can hire a content guy who is a native, who is going to correct your grammar, who's going to formulate the best sentences, and that's what I noticed too. So some people, they are scared to, oh my god, I don't know, like maybe I don't want to
Right.
go into the
Right.
job because I'm not 100% sure how to write. I say, guy, forget about it. What's important is if you know how to communicate in a language, like grammar is something that can be solved so easily today. Or you have a team, a content guy, or AI is there too to give your job. How many
Right.
times I put myself in my own job, ChatGPT, please correct my sentence.
Right.
you know, like I still use it. Like it's amazing because you correct with ChatGPT and he helps you. Like that's fantastic. Like tool for today. So don't be afraid. I don't think we should be afraid to try to work in a different environment and a different language. We can use the tools in our favor, and most important is that if we know how to communicate, if we break this level when
Right.
you can speak and you can explain something in that native language, so this is fantastic. It's when you can perform super high, communicate with your
Right.
managers, with your employees, or for partners or whatever. Yeah, I think this is a communication is one of the keys of like a successful story in whatever field you would like
Right.
to perform.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I think that's also true for design. Like, if you're talking about marketing and design, I think it always comes down to speaking the same language, right? You have to speak the right language, the same language as your target audience. So it's, I think, like, language is like a probably the most important word here, right? To communicate, which at the end of the day, it's everything, right? If I'm a big brand, I have to talk in the same way that my customers do. If I'm working in marketing, I have to talk in the same way as my target audience, which you said. So at the end of the day, maybe it's language, right? It's just language. We are communicating like Homo sapiens, you know. And some people communicate better, others not so good, and it's about finding that balance, you know. And I think it's very interesting what you said about grammar and stuff like that. That doesn't matter, right? That's just surface, right?
And when I realized that, I actually have a funny story to share here. Like I always I never been the guy who was ashamed to try to speak correctly or not. I never had such kind of issues. Yeah, but in my life, as I'm living in several countries, like 27 years in Brazil, I could say more than 2 years in Ireland, uh, 5 years in Spain, 1 year in Malta, Gibraltar, and Cyprus. Like I have contact with so many different cultures. In my way, I can see people are ashamed. They are ashamed to try to
Right.
communicate, and they are
Really?
losing so much. But I had one day in my life. I want to share the story because it clicked on me how right I was in this path of not being ashamed to speak, even if you speak a bit wrong. I noticed that one day I was in Brazil. I was working for this kind of law firm, and then one of my customers, he was a North American guy. Yeah, he was like, of course, he was legally allowed to work in Brazil. I didn't know if he has citizenship or not, but the fact was we are supporting him when he were coming to the office. And this guy was very
Right.
friendly, old guy, and he was asking us stuff. We were giving him advice, and when I was giving him advice, of
Yeah.
course, he formulated the phrases like uh, in his accent, which sounds funny for us. But at the same time, I look at this guy. I say, "Look at this old guy. Like here's hearing my, you know, he's speaking. I'm understanding him. Of course, he used
Right.
the articles differently. He sometimes do mistake. He changed the masculine and the feminine in the sentence, whatever. But all respect for him. I was looking one day at him and say, wow, that's quite awesome. This guy is speaking my language, even though slightly wrong, but I'm understanding everything he wants.
Right.
That's why we're talking about communication. Important. You need to deliver the message, you know. And that was the first time many years ago it clicked on me. I say, wow, like we for sure there's we don't need we shouldn't be ashamed to try a new language to communicate. And I saw now we are talking about industry, marketing, people who perform events. And I can say to you, last year have been a big event in a gambling event. Like they do this all the time, you know. So I was in this place. I saw like many foreign people. They don't speak English very well. Like really, they sometimes struggle, and they are there. They are CEOs of companies. They are presenting, and that one more time, I can say to the audience, don't be ashamed to speak something. You just need to communicate your message, deliver a message, your message. If you speak slightly different or not, slightly funny or not, important to deliver. Like this is fantastic. In all my respect to people who try and
Right.
that are brave, and they, you know, they shouldn't be ashamed because they're successful people. They, you know, CEOs, they are like whatever managers. And even though if you are not like in a huge level, you are in a
Right. Right.
in this industry, like just try your best. Like don't be ashamed. Like you're gonna grow for sure. Like you're gonna
Yeah,
grow.
for sure. And that connects with the getting out of your comfort zone thought, right? That we have spoken with each other so many times about. And still, you want to make a tattoo, right? From
Yeah,
it. Right? So put it on the forehead, or like on the arm, and like on the chest, something very, very personal to you, and it's a great message, and it's so true, right? It's so true. That applies to many different areas in your life. So that's a really cool answer. And like, if we get a little bit into your specialization, which is especially casino and gambling stuff, right? I can imagine that gaining trust gaining consumer trust in that industry can be very difficult because you're dealing with finances, right? People can lose everything they have, which happens, unfortunately, and people can win a lot, but that's a tiny minority. So I can imagine that language, especially in your industry, is even more challenging, is even more important to build trust. How do you think is the best way or the best ways in this particular industry or similar industries to reach your audience to build this trust that people need to buy or to use your services?
that's a very good question. Like people, like some professionals in the field, they ask me a lot about this. You know, create trust. I believe is the most difficult thing you have in your project when, especially when you are starting to build a brand. Yeah, of
Right.
course, let's talk about the opposite now for a while. Like if you are Coca-Cola, if you are like, I don't know, Apple, you know, Samsung, you don't need to create trust because it's everyday's life. You go outside, you see a Coca-Cola banner, people know since they're kids what's a Coca-Cola, right? But you need to build a new brand, like you need to launch a new
Mhm.
casino, let's say. Yeah,
Mhm.
I saw this many times. I work with companies that I had to create uh, with a team a casino from the very zero. It's super
Right.
interesting, very super interesting. It was a rich experience, like to born the baby, you know, from the scratch, you know. So I saw we are like all together with amazing professionals back to times, like it, there was this guy, there was a client who wants to launch a brand in Brazil. In one of the questions, he told me, Pedro, how we can stand up, how we can create this trust in the Brazilian audience, which is already like very untrust audience. We don't trust that
Right.
the
Right.
Brazilians, yeah. Um, so I say to him, you have some ways to go, you know, like you're gonna launch a brand. What creates trust? First of all, I believe in my experience, clear information, like
Mm.
all your message you have to deliver, it has to be straightforward, clear. Don't do double senses in your phrases, in your advertisement,
Right.
be straightforward. And this is something I carry from my law degree. When I was
Mm.
young doing law, they I learned so much how the advertisement should be fair, how the advertisement should be clear. This is very important for audience to trust like in your company. Because if you don't deliver a clear message, they might think you want to trick them. So, like,
Mm.
that's the first point. Second point is what we talk about here. You need to target the audience in a communication in their own native language. You need to know how to
Mhm.
communicate with the audience, right? Like, so communication again is the key. The use of your language.
Right.
Are we talking to a friendly way? Are we gonna be more serious? Some countries they act more serious. I don't know. You've been in Germany for quite a while. I tend to believe my German audience are more direct. You might confirm or not, but they like structure points. No, I can
Mm.
see something more towards this direction, like so, like steps. So
Great.
let log
Yeah.
in. Deposit 10 and get your bonus. That's it. And Brazilian audience like that sometimes to flourish a bit or to, you have
Yeah.
to give a bit more information. But back again, creating the trust. So one of the points, like very important as well, is to use aspects of the national day by day routine to connect with
Okay.
those people. What I mean, for example, like let's say I use for this case specifically, uh, you need to create your brand. Of course, you need to have payment methods, right? Like they need to
Right.
purchase, correct? So, okay, so which payment methods are the best in your country? You have to analyze that. Which payment methods are the best in Germany? Which payment methods they use in UK? In this case, in Brazil. So I say that's the best method. If you advertise in
Right.
your emails, in your website banner page, like put that you use this payment method. So in this case, the guy, I advise him to use Pix because Pix is a very recognized method in Brazil now that you change money so fast. People each other
Right.
like
Right.
can change like few clicks, and this method is like being so safe because government controls this. So every and each
Oh. Okay.
transaction pass through governmental control. So Pix method is a very safe method that if you
Right. Right.
advertise using your casino website or whatever website in Brazil, for sure you're gonna create some trust. So this is a way you connect your audience. So like, okay, a guy doesn't know your brand, but for the first time he accessed the website and he sees straight away you have a stamp like we use Pix method. Boom,
Right.
it's really a connection, like is what they call in the industry moment of truth. So
Mm.
I love this concept that I don't know if you have ever heard, but like the moment of truth is that 2 3 seconds you stare at something and you formulate something in your mind. It could be you meet a
Right.
new person for the very first time, you open a website for the very first time, like you enter in a hotel for the very first time. You're gonna picture in your brain if that is good or
Mhm.
that's, and this is very true.
Right.
So
Mm.
if you want to cause an impression in your audience, moment of truth is something that you have to bear in mind all the time. I click and I open the your homepage. How I gonna create a nice impression? If you create a nice impression, the people will say, "Wow, like what a website! You already fished them, like you
Right.
already
Right.
got them." But otherwise, if you also, on the other hand, if you use this, if you have a bad product or a bad website and they open the page and they are like something's wrong, the banner is not in the nice design, the colors are not matching nicely the eyes, so it's gonna feel weird, and the moment that truth is gonna be there,
Mm.
this guy is gonna think, something not nice, and this is
Right.
very,
Right.
affecting the people's trust as well, because somehow when we see something for the first time and we see something wrong, we are not trusting too much. You know, you go to this new hamburger shop, and then you see the guy like is getting money at the same time frying the hamburger.
Ah,
Scratching, you know, like it's close, like it's not like man, come on, you know, like it's a bit,
right,
yeah, you got the point, huh? So
right,
like
right,
this is very like in my point of view, creating the trust is the most difficult thing. I think it's a day by day learning, but yeah,
right,
I guess you has to use lots of national, let's say, day by day things to try to connect with your audience, like payment methods, like
right. Mm.
great design, communication in their own language, and yeah, I think you need to go towards this path.
I see. So this is a very rich answer as well, very thorough and very detailed view, which I agree mostly with. And like the those guys like selling food in India, you can see lots of videos on Instagram these days where they show like the dude he's sitting down and he's touching his foot, and then he mixes it with the food. It's horrible, man. It's like all over Instagram. It's not different for us in Brazil sometimes as well,
True.
which is really a little nasty, But what you told me there is very interesting in terms of like impressions. Do you think it's similar to how people form impressions of each other? For example, if I meet someone, they always say, "Oh, the first impression lasts. The first impression counts," right? They say, and it's very difficult to make a second or third impression after that, right? Sounds to me it's very similar to marketing, to branding, right? Uh, when you miss the first impression, that's it most of the time, right? So do you think it's similar to how people sense each other, or is it a different concept?
No, I think it's pretty much similar in my point of view. Like I think we are humans. We formulate impressions all the time and with everything. Like not just each other's interaction, human interaction. I tends to believe with product, like I say, you open a new page, somebody show you a new material, a new design, like you
Right,
watch a new video, and when I learned this concept before, like about moment of truth, is always in my mind, because I want to create something new or even a content, simple content, or something when you have to show something to somebody. Like I'm always thinking about this concept. Uh, is that something really nice to be shown? Like, I open to myself
right,
that content or that page or that text or that whatever, and I think with his brain what people is gonna think, like if they really click on that and open this for
right,
the first time, is an SMS you're gonna receive in your phone, like how it's gonna be. So I personally tends to believe, as we are humans, as we interact with each other, we have this feeling of first impression. First impression is also working for material things, like this is what I think, what I believe.
right,
So yes, when we're talking about marketing, design, today everything is like online. Is everything about design, right? Like you access a
right,
website, you is design straight away. Like how you design the page, how you create your layout of your website. Yeah, everything's about design. If your design is scrapped, like I don't know if people were still scrolling down,
right.
Okay, so you have to
Mhm.
create something smart and something also interactive, because today
Mhm.
interaction so is growing. They talk about this in casino as well. So for example, I watched this masterclass last year as well. Um, a guy saying about future trends in the industry, yes, like especially for gambling, but this can apply to the other industries. They're saying, what do you think gambling will go? What do you think
Yeah,
people
yeah,
will use, and which products they're gonna play? And it was super interesting because, like, we have standard products like slots. You play like the button and the slots roll out in your screen, and you play the game
right,
one button. So they think this. these models, they are going to, of course, they always be somebody that gonna like it, but those models are going kind of be replaced for more interactive models, like could be
Mm,
virtual casino, like now it's
right,
already, they have this type of games that you have a group here, like somebody who plays the roulette on live games, or somebody that
right,
is like doing a new different version, an interactive, whatever game could be. Like now it's like they call it crash games. There's this aviator game, like there's many different
right, right.
games that are being built to create interaction, to not to
Mm,
be just a mechanical job between a customer and the screen. They are making
right,
something maybe like the same logic of Instagram Reels or TikTok, the same, like, like
right.
people are like this. No, we are a super fast environment nowadays. No, like
Yeah, yeah, it's insane, and you compare it to like 20 years ago, right? And it was completely different. Like as you said, you called it the moment of truth. I did not hear that expression like that before, but I think it makes sense. That you get like 2 3 seconds to evaluate everything that you see, everything that you feel, and then from there you make a decision. Do I like this? Don't I like this? It's very difficult to get like a neutral. You're either I like it, I don't like it. I like it, I don't like it. I think like this certain contrast. But tell me one thing: the attention span is going down and down and down and down, right? The attention span used to be like 10 seconds, and now it's down to 1 second. Do you think there's a limit? Like at some point you're like, okay, 0.00001 seconds, and then you can't get below that. Do you think there's a limit to that?
man, maybe there is a limit. Like it's a very good question. Like I I feel myself, for example, sometimes using more social media than I should. I include myself on that. Um, I think social media grab us in a way, and our brain is not ready for that. Like I had this feeling
Right.
before. I follow a guy called same name as me, Pedro, Pedro Calabres. He's a neuroscientist in Brazil. He studies the brain.
Hmm.
And another day he was putting a message. Ask me something. Yeah, like a normal standard from who has an
Right.
Instagram. So I asked this question to him. I said, "Hey, I have a feeling our brain is not prepared to receive so much information that we are receiving
Hmm.
nowadays. Like, look at myself, for example. I have like Facebook, Instagram, SMS. So I mean, in my work, I have Slack, I have Skype to communicate with some people. So man, we have like 7, 8 different channels, and we're receiving
Right.
message every day, like every time from all these places. Are your brain ready for that? That's something I ask him, and he say no, like we are not ready for that. Like we have a limited capacity, like and this environment we are in, like in is like an environment that is so fast that we
Yeah.
are not able to catch up with everything.
Right.
And in what he told in the message as well, what he say was uh, the what causes the trouble that this brings is like we are becoming more anxious, like this
Hmm.
is anxiety in people because they cannot catch up with all information, in some
Right.
cases addiction as well, because you cannot catch up. Let's be honest. Like you
Right.
think
Yeah.
you are always missing something. Like if you so much information to catch up. So I think today is new, right? This is new. This is a new era.
Yeah.
Like I born like in 1987, and I remember, for example, when I was young, that of course there was no internet at all. Like there was no such
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I have my first phone with when I was 16, 17. My parents gave me a phone to find me in somewhere.
Yeah.
Go out, they couldn't find me. My mom get crazy,
Yeah.
And I remember I was the last one in my school to have a phone, yeah, and like was such interesting thing because before we knock the door of your friend,
Yeah.
back at school, you don't know, you were afternoon free. well, let me chat with my friend. You knock the door. Like
Yeah, yeah,
if somebody answer, good. Somebody doesn't answer, yeah, no. But now that I'm in the internet world, after all, phones, internet, I notice it's I cannot escape from it. Especially us that we work with digital world. Like I cannot turn off from this word. I need to accept this word. However, we do have a
yeah,
challenge
yeah,
here, and that's the challenge you just told us. Like how we that would be a limit. How we handle that, because
yeah, yeah,
it's very difficult now. How we even I have another question, and so I bring to you too if you can help me, because how we filter, like, which is a good information to get and which is not,
yeah,
this bunch of
yeah,
information we are bombarding with, like, which information is good with your time to grab it,
yeah,
to
yeah.
learn, which is not, we have information all the time. So I also have troubles to deal with this sometimes,
Mm,
s- I think people will relate, because we how to have a quality time nowadays in this fast
yeah,
environment we are living in. And I don't know the limit, man, because this is crazy. I don't know the limit. I don't know where this is gonna go. It's an honest answer. I don't know. Like, is those reels gonna become 5 seconds, or
yeah,
so,
right.
yeah, I
So
don't
yeah,
know.
so I think it's also I can't answer the question properly, like because I also don't know the answer to it. I have a couple of theories, I have a couple of ideas, but
Okay.
um, I think when you get below like 1 second, you're at like 0.25 seconds, your brain it can't get lower than faster than that. It's like 0.2 is like the moment of decision, the physical limit of decision. You can't get faster than that. And so I think, like stuff like deep link, you know deep link, right? Yeah. So stuff like that where they try to create, to mix robots and people, to make you faster, to make you stronger, to make you, in idea at least, right, to make you more responsive. I think that's going to be the next step. We're going to become like bio machines where we can process information in zero point 0.1 seconds. And after that, we become the matrix. That's it. We become energy for the machine. That's it. You
But
know?
this scares me. I have a friend of mine, like, this is a very good topic. You say, I have a friend of mine, I noticed something on him. Like, again, it's caused by this fast environment we are in. He just listened the messages of people in the number two, man. In the number two, you have WhatsApp. Like, you can, I don't know, like, you can put like one, 1.5. You can put two. So you listen the
Yeah.
message fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you listen faster, what happens? The tone of voice is changing. So
Right.
you doesn't listen the tone of voice, which it's super weird. I try a few times to put the number 1.5 and two, but I hate it because you are missing the touch. You were missing to listen how how the people feels in the tone of voice. They demonstrate
Right.
fear, they demonstrate excitement, and if you put number
Right.
two, if you notice that, you lose it everything. You start to losing how people are feeling,
Right. Mm.
how they express their emotions, and for me this is super weird, because where are we going with that, like, we are losing the
Mhm.
touch, the human side, the connections. I don't know, like, but it's something that's happening. That's something that's happening, like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
one
true.
more
And
thing, one thing. Yeah.
like the one thing people should not do, they should not listen to this podcast faster. Don't to
No,
X this
please
podcast.
don't put a
Or
number two.
speak
No, no, no.
then.
We are trying to
No.
brainstorm the things here, and yeah, don't put number two, please.
No, but it's like it's very interesting what you mentioned about the pitch, right? The pitch of a voice. It becomes like the faster you play it becomes like a comic book, right? Like a caricature. The way you speak and the way you sound. You sound like Charlie Brown. Like the comics, right? That's very interesting. And I also tried to do this 2X, but then my mind stopped processing the information the way it should be, And so, as you said, I think what happens is I want to be faster, but at the end of the day, I have to listen to it 3 times to remember the information. So at the end, you actually lose more time than you would if you played it in 1x in the first place, right?
That's correct. That's correct. It's also happening that so like well like it's one more time is something that make me think, well, where are we going with this fast environment? Uh, in the end of the day, I tend to believe like we have to create somehow in our personal and professional lives a balance, the famous word for balance. But we do need to have this because imagine like if they do commercials in number two, how funny it should be like, hey, it comes in, and you have the soap. How it could be, man? Do you think it's we're gonna have like this advertisement number? You know, I don't know, but
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
where we're going to go. But I don't like that. I I'm a guy who likes to connect with people's emotion and connect to good materials, deliver good messages, and I tend to believe if we disconnect from it's not human, right? Like it's not
yeah,
human. You this is the machine doing the number two level of tone of voice. We are not doing that. Like we don't have this ability. Okay, some weird people might have the ability of speaking super fast, blah blah. Yeah, but normal people they don't do that. We don't communicate this way. Like
yeah.
so
We
why?
don't.
So
Yeah,
why we are doing this to us ourselves? You know those high fast environment we are living in, uh, and yeah, and again connecting with this guy, a full neuroscientist, is totally right. I can see many people anxiety, depression. They don't know how to deal with all the information. I include myself on these people. Like
right,
sometimes I put
right.
myself in the same spirit to say, wow, I have to read a book. I have to answer some messages. I have some like you listen to a play in your phone. Who might be missing
Yeah,
something important.
yeah,
That's I also catch myself in sometimes in this thing. Where you have to okay, let's balance your life. But again, I think this is a new era challenge for us in this new world that we're living in. It's a new thing. Everybody needs to deal with that, and maybe we're gonna find a good way in the future. Like
right. Yeah,
maybe we're gonna
yeah,
find balance. Yeah, but today is very hard. Yes.
yeah. The thing is, you can't force human evolution so fast. It's like a process that's been going on for over 1 million years, our own evolution. And then only in the last 20 years, you get the internet and all the information in the world, in the history of mankind, is on the internet. You can look up anything. You actually, I looked into this. There is I don't know if you know this, there is like a Wikipedia alternative or a copy. It's called I can't remember the name. It's Wikipedia for zombie apocalypse. So they have articles and information how to survive a zombie apocalypse. So it's like a fun copy of Wikipedia. And I looked into this, and you can download all the information you would ever need when the zombies come after you, like how to generate electricity, how to make fire, how to, like prevent diseases. You can download this on a USB stick, everything you ever need. So you can download that, and if you have a tablet with you, when the zombies try to eat you, you're like, okay, let me see what I can do against the zombies, and then you get the Wikipedia article for, okay, how do you kill a zombie,
That's
and so it's really really fun, and that shows the compartmentalizing and triviality of information. That information is everywhere, and you don't know what is important, what is not important, what is valuable, what is not valuable. And one change maybe that maybe is part of a theory on answering that question is to turn off news, like the general news, like BBC and CNN, and I do this for a couple of years now, and it's helped me a little bit. I think it's like one of those things you don't need the details of. You can eliminate it from your life, because news are not objective. They are always subjective. It's always the bad stuff, right? First, it's like a catastrophe, and earthquake and murder and stuff like that. So it's always the negative stuff, and rarely there is something really valuable for you to learn. So which is why I kind of like excluded news from my life for the last 2 years. I only take a look at the most important headlines, but I don't do more than that. And it's been very, very good. It's helped me focus on the other areas of my life, which are maybe more important than the news, which is always the same. It repeats, right, all the time. And so maybe this is a suggestion. People have to look into that. But on the other hand, maybe I'm not as well informed to participate in that discussion. That's entirely possible. And then we have to start talking about zombie apocalypses because you can't talk about anything else. So,
Yes.
yeah, so I don't have the answer for you. I only have theses and perspectives as you do, but it's a very tough question. Like if you let's say somebody wants to open a new casino, okay, and they have all this information and these challenges ahead of them. What do you think? What can you do, right, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, to open a business in a difficult niche such as casino in terms of marketing and messaging? What would be like good recommendations and how to start that process?
Well, like if you want to invest in this field, first of all, you have to go behind companies who can support you because it's not easy to open a casino, right? Like you have to invest a lot of
Yeah.
money. First of all, you have to have a lot of knowledge. Then you for sure you need a company like that can provide such things. So today you have lots of companies providing these models. I have been working for them. uh, they give you that like in a platform
Yeah.
level, so you have to go behind those companies. Like they will provide you a platform. They have agreements with game providers, so in a way that imagine how many things you have to solve, like payment methods, like I
Right.
don't, you have your own marketing, how you're gonna target your customers, you're gonna do your own CRM system, your own acquisitions. So there's a lot of questions that englobe launching of a new casino. So you have to extract, if you are like, if you have some kind of
Yeah.
like experience, if you have a big company and you want to migrate, you maybe might have the 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 professionals to help with that.
Right.
So I not need to hire like somebody to acquire customers for you, somebody to do CRM for you, or marketing or design or any other areas, risk and fraud and legal compliance and stuff like that. But you do need is a niche. You do need knowledge in casino world.
Mm, mm,
Is a niche. So you, even though you have professionals uh, to deliver material to you, you're gonna need advice for people who are in this
mhm.
field. As the same as like a doctor,
Right.
like who is specialized in like I don't know brain operation. How they might you might have thousands of doctors. Like you can compare this what I'm trying to explain with thousands of company business. You are a doctor, but maybe you even yourself you can operate maybe like a heart or whatever, but you, if you never operate a
Yeah.
brain, how are you gonna do it? So like
Right.
you guys who are inside the industry, who know the perks of this industry and who can advise you in a correct way. And it could be you need a legal background. You need to understand some countries they need a
Mm,
license. They ask you a license to operate. Of course, in this field,
right.
there is many discussions about um, what you should allow your
Mhm.
population to access or not, and which is very funny for me because let's say some countries they don't allow their people to use a casino website, and for me uh, I have no right answer to that. But today we are living in an internet world, so you can buy something in Amazon, right? Like maybe you are in a different country,
Right.
but the Amazon can be delivering in your native country. But why casino should not? Because my country forbid casino. But okay, you are accessing a website that you are going to a territory
Right.
overseas. So is that really something to be forbidden or not? Some people think yes, some people think no. So that's create a lot of
Right.
discussion. Like what is internet today? You are jumping to another world, and okay, you are in your territory. Like right now, I'm in Cyprus.
Mm.
Now you are in Germany, but we access a website in Vietnam. So where are we?
Sure.
Are we in Germany? Are we in Vietnam? We're gonna create
Yeah.
discussions, like
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they in casino is the same. So uh, you want to launch a casino, like you have to think, you have to have that in mind too. So some governments, they're gonna ask a license. License is hard to get. Like
Right.
you need
Right.
professional to get that to you. And some companies, they do have this. They can provide you licenses easy because they know where to apply for licenses. So yes, man, like casino world requires a lot. Not a easy thing to enter. You have to sort
Mm. Mm.
legal wise, like you have to have professionals that know what they're doing. It's a hard,
Mhm.
it's a hard field. Like I can see, hard
Yeah.
field, but it's super interesting
Yeah.
though. Once you're in, like
Yeah.
I'm working for this for the last I think since 2017 now. I can say like many years now, like and it's a fast environment. It's predator. Not sure how now other parts of other industries are in, but the industry I mean, we send a lot of mails per day, a lot of SMS, like we segment a lot of the audience, but it's becoming super smart now with AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
it's crazy. Like I can say, gambling industry uh, is a crazy fast industry that sends a lot of communication to the audience. It's a predator word. It's one like company wants to get attention, and you have
Mm.
to use your
Mm.
best techniques to get. So if a new adventure wants to out of nowhere to go to this world, he has to learn a lot. He has to connect a lot of people. He has to go
Yeah.
and make agreements with companies, bring professionals who are working in this field for a while. Then he's gonna have best advice, best team is possible. But you have to build a team. You have to get support from a
Right.
specialized company. Yeah.
I think it's interesting with the casino and gambling world because I think you touched on this point as well because we said before that as a customer, right, you can go to Las Vegas and you can like spend 50,000 euros that you have, lose it all in one night, right? But I think from the casino owner side, it's very similar because you can invest a lot of money and there's a lot of risk involved. You can also lose everything that you have. So maybe it's a risk industry on both sides, as a business owner and as a potential customer for this industry.
It depends. For example, yeah, like if you have a lot of money to invest, like you have a good business, a strong, you are a strong investor, right? Not just an
Yeah.
adventure. If you have a lot of money to invest, like I think in the long term you're gonna be successful because the casino logic
Right.
is very simple. Like the house never lose. In the end of the day, the
Mhm.
mathematical formula for the casino slots and other games is gonna make it the house win always somehow. So like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
give you a right example, very like easy to understand. So if you have a roulette game like where you can say it's one of the best return for player. We have something that we call RTP, return for to players, and big and no
Mhm.
player they know that they want to play games that probably will return best money to the players. Yeah,
Right.
and the casino operators want to maybe avoid this big high rate of return to play. But I think roulette is a classic where this example is very good. You have like let's say you can bet your money, you have $10 and you want to put your $10 in the red or in the black.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you can do that. Like, and people are gonna think, oh, so okay, I have 50% chances of winning, right? No, because you have something tricky the casino does is the number zero. So in a roulette, if you think about number zero is normally a green number they put in green,
Okay.
where
Yeah.
allow exactly the casino to have this margin, for example. So if you bet always in the red, few times it's
Yeah.
gonna go to the black, few times it's gonna go to the green. So you
Yeah.
cannot, you're never gonna, in a long term, you can be lucky as a player, of course. Every time, something people need to understand in the casino world, the house is gonna win always, but of course, random players can win. But every time you push a slot button, every time you play the roulette, is a new mathematical
Mhm.
formula that
Mhm.
your chances of winning is always the same. They tend to believe, ah, no, I'm
Right.
gonna play 10 times now. It's gonna
Nah.
go players. No, no, it's the same, always same mathematical formula. Your chances to winning
Right.
randomly
Cool.
in
Yeah.
each round. So in the end of the day, if you put all your money in the red or in the black, you're gonna lose eventually with the long term.
Right.
Because this is an example of a roulette game, but you can apply this to slots, to every other game. So if you are a casino operator, investor, if you build your business very well, like in sense of its structure, you're gonna earn a good money in the end of the day. But
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
just can, like, why some casinos they close, why they broke, why they do that? Because you need to pay professionals, yeah. So you need to
Sure.
invest in structure, you need to pay
Mhm.
professionals, and if you don't have a very good like management skills, you might close, but for other purpose, or you cannot retain your audience, or the
Right.
other operators are gonna get your attention. So as I say,
Right.
predator word. So you invest a lot of money to launch a casino. It's a pivotal moment, like where you have to grab players in. So imagine an investor put, I don't know, 10 millions to build a nice stuff. He hire professionals. He bring a casino from zero, and
Yeah.
suddenly, okay, he start to bring something. But other casinos around, big operators, they are sharks, man. So they're gonna eat you alive. So you have to be good. So they rob out your customers. They get your audience, or you don't have good professionals to retain your audience. So that's why you die. That's why some people
Yeah.
lose
Yeah.
this work, because like every other business, like if you don't pass through that moment, you make it a kind of
Mhm.
uh, let's say profits. Yeah, like put this way, yes, you can like bankrupt whatever, but it could happen. But if you build a
Mhm.
smart business, the logic is like you're not
Mhm.
never gonna lose, like in a casino logic, in the long term. If you are smart enough, like operators
Right.
can a lot of money per year. But yeah,
Right. Right. Yeah, I can imagine that. And it's like it reminds me of when you were at school and you're like, "Hey, Dad, I hate mathematics." You're like back in school times. You're like, "Oh, I hate math," and you find out in your life you need math methods everywhere. So I find it fascinating what you mentioned with the formulas, with the mathematical probabilities, right? With the mathematical expectations. This is something I've also come to find in design, because once I started studying design, I saw there are parallels with nature, like the golden number 1.614. You can see geometry in design. And so by the way, I developed a tool to calculate font sizes according to mathematical equations. I'll put the link in below. I'll put the link below. People check it out. So, anyhow, you kind of you see the geometry, right? And you're like, oh man, my dad was right. You're always gonna need math. That was insane. And I love the way you describe this. The probabilities. I think, except for uh, categories maybe where you have a little more input, such as blackjack or poker, right, where you have a little bit more human ability,
that's
then
true.
everything else is going to make money for the casino. And I wanted to ask you, is there a game, or is there any category where the casino actually loses? Because they're like, okay, I'm going to offer this one category where the player wins more in probabilities to attract the customers, and then they start playing everything else. They start playing roulette, etc., and they end up losing the money. Like, is there something like this?
There's no such things. Like it doesn't exist. I don't know. Like I never get content in such cases. Since I'm in this industry, I never see a game that is gonna do this probability for players. That doesn't exist even in sports game. That people tend, as you say, you're correct when
Mm.
you say poker. Yes, like there is an ability. If you, it's a game of also that you, if you are very good brain, you can
Right.
indeed do something, but in the standard casino games, as slots, as a roulette, live casino, and stuff like that, there's no such a thing. Sports is the same. People tends to believe like, oh, I'm very good knowledge in my team because I support, I don't know, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich is gonna win today, and you never know. Like the guy, two first minutes get a red card, so I don't know,
Yeah.
team like that's could be the last one in your league is gonna beat you because it
Yeah.
was a red card, and you might invest a lot of money in that game and you're gonna lose. So, and even the sports odds are created always to the house. The casino
Mm.
operator is
Right.
gonna win in the sports odds. They never made something for players. What happened is like what happens sometimes is like purely the logic of casino is what I explain. House is gonna win always in a
Yeah.
long term.
Yeah.
In a long term. However, like if you were as a smart player, like somehow you can sometimes find gaps. Like what does it mean? Like
Mm.
gaps are there everywhere. Like but operators are becoming smart as well. They can identify what when you work for casinos, like you find smart players, yeah. In which sense? They try to find gaps in new releases,
Yeah.
like let's say Mario
Right.
Bros. Let's say Nintendo launched a new
Yeah.
game, right? And then
Yeah.
always those guys who found the bugs in the games, and then they erase the game, they finish the game in, I don't know, 1 minute. Yeah, they
Right.
have in the game because they
Yeah.
found a little bug in the layout, in the how you call in uh,
The code, maybe.
the code exactly. What happened? I heard many stories in casino where new operators, again, as you say, that's why you need experience. They launch a new casino, they launch new games and stuff like that, and those panthers that we call, like those guys who are playing casino, they have forums, by the way. They're such a good players. They join in groups in
Right.
forums to share those bugs they find. So for example, new casinos
Right.
released, new games released, so suddenly after playing few slots or few times, they found some bugs and they share these bugs. But when the operator find out, of course they punish those players, like but uh, there are many things like this, if it's small gaps like in new releases
Mm.
sometimes, but the operators catch them fast, like they
Mm.
get, after a while they know there is a big winner, like they found a pattern the guy's doing, so they find
Mm.
a way in the terms and conditions or whatever, uh, to kind of,
Right.
yeah, get rid of this player.
Well,
This happens, but what can happen where the player can earn if he's smart enough as well, uh, is waiting for the casino to target you as a to reactivate you as a player. So how it works, the logic in all the industry? You play a little bit the
right.
casino or you play the sport games. You can play safe, by the way. Like you can minimize your losses, not in the casino slot, but in, I would say, more in the sport worlds. Yeah, why not? Like you can try to play with more safe odds, but again, it's nothing's guaranteed. But you can try. You can put maybe, like, let's say, start with 100 euros. You start play safe in some matches and stuff. But again, it's not guaranteed. In a probability that's going to lose in the long term. But
Right.
sometimes if you play a little bit, you keep your balance, or you keep, or you lose your money, or you keep inactive. The casinos sometimes they want to reactivate you, so they give you gifts, like they give
Right.
free spins, like so then it's when you earn something, that I can say, of course, the house is spending money. The operators are spending money to reactivate you. So after a while, you can, yes, you can receive free bet,
Mm, mhm.
free stuff. So if you are smart enough, sometimes you can, let's say, earn something. But I would say
Right.
short amount. Like you're not gonna earn like 1,000 euros. You might earn like $20. Okay, maybe if you are very like signing 1,000 casinos, and if you earn $20, and even though there's something they do to avoid that. So again, casinos are very smart. Like if you try just to get those gaps and benefits,
Mm,
they also today put terms and conditions. They put something we call wagering
mm.
requirements. So that
Okay.
wager, you have to play your amount X times and before you withdraw your money. So this is the way operators find out to
Mm,
avoid what we call bonus abusers as well. So in the end of the day, is today in the casino world, operators are super smart. So before, back to times, uh,
yeah.
players
Yeah.
found more gaps and more ways to make money in casino world.
Mm,
But today is becoming more and more difficult for those guys smart enough to beat a
yeah.
casino. Like
Yeah.
I
Right.
like very hard.
Yeah. I remember we used to play Mario Kart, and we used to play Super Mario, and that was a fun time. And I was never one of those guys who found the bugs. Like it's amazing. Some people they have to spend 100 hours in the first level of Mario Kart Nintendo 64 to find a little gap, and that was like 20 years ago, right? Or 20, 30 years ago. So today, do you think with the arrival of artificial intelligence, which is not really AI yet. It's really like language models, right? That they train and becomes like a robot, right? Like a parrot in a way. But we've had access to some tools, as you mentioned before, ChatGPT to correct English, correct grammar, etc., etc. So I can imagine that from player side, maybe they're using new AI tools to try and find some bugs. And on the provider side, on the operator side, the same thing, right? Maybe you guys are also using AI to prevent those bugs, right? So it's always like the hacker and the security FBI, right? You make one develop and then they do another develop, and so did it change a lot since AI for you guys for the casino industry?
Definitely, definitely. Yes, it's changing. It's changing. AI is changing everything. Like the translations are becoming really good. So, for example, once like you have to translate, let's say, imagine a back to times, I want to send a communication in 30 language. Yeah, what I have to do,
Mm,
I have to hire professionals, like 30 professionals, to write in 30 different languages, grab this material, do a manual job, copy and paste, and it takes a lot of time. Today, with an AI tool, the translations are becoming better and better. Like I tested few already. Sometimes they're not perfect, huh? But most of the languages I have been seeing, like I work with AI too, they translate in such a nice level. But still,
well,
still, when you put your touch of personalization, is not the same as a robot. Okay, like I still think it's not 100%, but in an overall view, you save a lot of time. You can target
mm,
like more people using AI in a smart way, save up some money. But however, uh, I tested a few things in my native language or the language I know, and sometimes it's not the same. You lose the touch of personality. Like you lose
mm,
people
right.
knows. Like we are audiences. Another thing interesting. Audience is smart enough today as well. Like they tends to know when you were talking about if a robot message or somebody who put his finger on it. Like if you use a native um, Islam, like a native word, from your local place. Let's say,
Right,
I don't
right.
know, you came from Berlin and you know a word that you use all the time in Berlin. I don't know, a Deutsch word, like a German word, and then suddenly the guy knows somebody was just from Berlin and typed that message. Yeah? But I don't know in the future how automation is going to get there. maybe it's gonna get it.
mm,
Maybe one day the automation is insane now. Like it's maybe it's gonna type in such a way that you can do that, right? Like in ChatGPT, sometimes I say, please
right.
write me an email, blah blah blah. If you write standard email, you're gonna see a robotic structure. You see it's from ChatGPT. My eyes are very now. I know when people normally I can identify when it's a structure, robot structure, or somebody did a touch there. But I don't know
Mm,
with the level of AI if we're gonna get there. And I I think maybe we're gonna get there. Maybe we're gonna get to a level of personalization that you're not gonna know where is a robot doing that or where is a human person behind. And it
right.
is nice when you know it's a human person because it's a touch of there's somebody behind that, like. But AI is saving us a lot of time. Definitely saving a lot of time. I use in my daily routine, um,
Mm,
and save money as well. You have a tool
yeah.
that before you have to hire 30 professionals. Now maybe you don't. Maybe you just uh,
True, true.
use yourself. Use your just yourself translating to 30 languages, like
Mm,
quite
mm.
interesting.
Yeah, very much so. And there is a point where you start losing so much humanity that you get out of touch, right? And then it's like, hey, machine versus machine. It's not even like a person anymore. So that scares the crap out of me. Like if we get to a point where we become batteries for the machine, like in the Matrix, that is insane. And I really think the thing is everybody has access to those tools. Everybody. So your competitor also pays 20 euros for ChatGPT Premium, and he can do exactly the same, right? So if 30 competitors can do that, then it becomes a level playing field. Everybody using the same tool, which is accessible to everybody. Then it's not going to be different anymore. Then it's all going to be the same. And then you're going to have to find another way to differentiate above that, right? Because everyone uses it, right? You have to find another way.
I agree with you. That's a very interesting point of view. Like AI is gonna bring to a such level of a standard
Yeah.
that is gonna be everywhere similar. So in the end of the day, human touch is always gonna stand up to
Yeah.
whatever logic you use. You of course AI is gonna save us a lot of time for lots of tasks, but I tends to believe the human touch is if you want to do a nice business, a nice product, if you want to stand out from your audience, from others, it's a very interesting point of view to say it's gonna happen a tendency now, and I already
Mhm.
see. I'm already watching this. That's what you say. I check communication from competitors, and sometimes I say, this was done by ChatGPT, like, and
Right.
and I don't feel that's charming. Like, but when I see a very nice marketing, I see a touch of a human, and then I say, wow, this is nice, this is cool, this is attractive, and that's what I like, and I think you brought to us to our attention a very good point. People, the companies, they have to be careful to don't become just one thing, like without soul, without
Yeah.
touch.
Yeah.
You definitely right on this matter. Like uh, we need to be careful to keep putting our personalization on things, otherwise where we go,
Absolutely.
we become a bunch of robots, like I don't know, like
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, you have no idea. I have like this bring like to break the ice here a bit. Like a friend of
Yeah.
mine, he is having this the date in distance with this girl, and like he doesn't have time because he's a workaholic or whatever. And then
Sure.
he say, "Man, I cannot answer. You send me so many messages every day." And you know what? Another day I try ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, please write a very nice answer to her, blah 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 blah. And all the time now he's using ChatGPT to answer the message. And I found out this, like, it's so funny because like he doesn't
Yeah.
have time, and he has this relation, and ChatGPT is helping this relation because she was mad.
Oh, it is.
So message to make her feel more comfort and blah blah blah. Well, now put a bit of this Man, what a crazy world we live, you know? Like,
That is insane. That is insane. And before ChatGPT times, you could go to Fiverr. You know Fiverr, right? You go to Fiverr and you hire a long distance boyfriend or long distance girlfriend from Japan to speak to your parents. You know, like I saw this service, like this chick, she was offering something like, I'll be your long distance girlfriend for from Germany, right? Or something like that. And then she picks up calls with the parents, you know, she pretends to be the girlfriend and she makes like selfies and sends it to the parents of the guy because the parents were like, oh my god, you can never find anybody who don't want you to be alone. And then the son is like, okay, let me get myself a pretend girlfriend. And they used to offer that on Fiverr, and now it's gonna be ChatGPT, right? It's gonna be, you're gonna be talking, not even pretend girlfriends and boyfriends anymore. What is this word, man?
what a
No
word.
pretense.
What a word. So I don't
That isn't.
but yeah, interesting times, I would say. Like, but yeah, not sure where we
Totally. So if we think about like maybe to come full circle here, um, you've worked like the last 15 years in marketing, maybe longer, right? Because um, I think when you were working as a lawyer, I think you already had a mindset, right, of being more dynamic, of working more with people, and not really the law, but I think it started there, right? That this idea started taking shape. So like the last 20 years or something. And I love the perspectives you've brought so far. What would you say? What would be your recommendation for brands, especially in your niche, in your area, but in general? I think for brands, new brands, or brands that want to differentiate, that want to be closer to the audience. What would you say, like as a general recommendation? What should people do? What should business owners do? And also, how do you protect yourself from over marketing as a consumer?
Yeah, that's a interesting point. Like, it's true. Like, I've been working with people uh, for the last, like, I don't know, 20, like 15, 20 years. Yeah, like if you think about it, long path. Since law, yes, we use a lot of communication. So like,
Mm,
I had to first of all know how to interact with people. We train that. We train speech. We train tone of voice. Those things are trained. You can improve your speech. You can improve the way you communicate. And
mm,
we spoke today about this. Yeah. So my advice, I believe, like for a new brand, is first of all you have to be in touch of new technologies. Yes, like cannot
right,
skip. Like again,
right.
like you we are in a world, uh, very well connected world. So if you don't think about uh, just a global community, we are in a global community.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
right.
let's think about like we are more and more global. Okay, localization exists. You have to use your communication to target different people, different countries, but you also have to think about how you target that efficiently. Yeah, because all business
Right,
that we are aiming to make revenue, we are aiming to make money.
right, right.
Have to launch a brand, you have to think how, first of all, which audience I want to target, and how can I expand my audience using the new technologies that are today.
Mm,
Because if you don't update yourself with new technologies, like other companies they will do, they will eat you alive.
right.
You cannot launch just a standard website and thinks you're gonna make it, like, no, like, I watched these days, for example, like a video of Kodak story. Yeah, like Kodak did the cameras, they was like really
Right.
profitable, and there was a guy, uh, they had an idea for Kodak to digitalize, to create digital cameras, and like, and then like
Yeah.
Kodak didn't bought that. They say no, we are making thousands of money with our old-fashioned way, yeah, and they didn't
Yeah.
update.
Right.
Hired by Sony, like, and then like Sony make it, and what happens with Kodak, So the that's what happened, like. So today, if you want to launch a new brand, be update what's going on, and not just update, be ahead. Think about where we're going. Like we are
Mm,
going more and more digital, like more and more
mhm,
markets. That's reaching all the corners of planets, but still many markets to grow. Latin America is growing a lot, like
mm,
Africa will grow more and more. So this will be l- lots of opportunities to explore those markets, in a global view. Uh, think about what's going to happen. Like we are going to become more interactive. So think about this, like maybe a website in
mm.
3D, like something that you can a
Right,
customer
right,
can
yeah.
use a virtual machine device, and they can navigate in your website in an incredible way that never seen before. So you have to think about this, because that's where we're going. If you like it or not,
Right,
that's where we're
right.
going to a digital, more and more and more and more digital world. If you like it or not, uh, that's our path. So if you're going to launch a new brand, think ahead. I have to be updated
Mhm,
technologies, and I have to think further. Like, what can I do to stand out
mm, mhm.
audience? So, and yeah, like it's a hard question, general question, but um, you have to bring. You brought good points, man. You brought good points, because I like what you say about okay, everybody's gonna create a standard made on AI. Maybe companies can create a website, a standard website for you, but who
Mm.
can create a real personalization? If you have a
Yeah,
new brand,
yeah,
a new idea, you have to stand out. You have to create something different from what is there, right? So, yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate that, and it's like I think human touch, all human touch, is gonna become the Midas touch. The Midas touch used to be the turns everything into gold, and because everything is becoming digitalized, as you mentioned, which I agree with, and more abstract. Um, just a little bit of human touch is gonna be the Midas touch, and I think it's very interesting. At the end of the day, uh, what you said there right at the end, that we're gonna have to adapt because it's not going away. It is the way it is. That's the journey, right? So we have to adapt. But maybe by creating digital experiences that are more and more interactive, maybe instead of bringing us apart, it will bring us closer together. Maybe, right? I never thought about it like that. I always think, okay, technology, like I can call you in Germany from to Gibraltar or to Cyprus. We don't have to meet in person, and so that brought us together. But also at the same time, apart, right? We are far apart, and we can still talk and have a great debate. And so maybe if we shift our mentality a little bit and say, okay, this is gonna happen, and instead of saying, okay, it's gonna bring us apart, by putting more touch, more interaction, more interactivity into every digital experience, maybe just that thought is going to bring us closer together in a way, and that sounds very poetic, I think, at the end.
It's nice. That's nice. I hope so. Like I hope so. I have concerns about technology sometimes, but you are totally right. Like technology is not just bad. Like I don't want to be the devil here, like blaming technology. No, I love technology. I think it's fantastic. Like imagine that, send a message that travels to Earth to a satellite, come back to your phone. Don't know, in less than a second. It looks
Yeah.
like for me like don't know, magic, right? And then we are humans that create that. It's fantastic. And like yeah, you can chat with your grandma, with your friends in the other part of the world. Like it's fantastic. I hope like we can create that. It's a beautiful poetic scenario. uh, and let's hope technology bring us together. Yeah, like but yeah, then like challenge for, and well, I hope we will see a lot. Like I hope we live enough to see these new changes and evolution and bring us to further and further incredible things. No,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
technology. I love I'm like the idea of I don't know, having flying cars or going to Mars, or then it goes to my side of scientific uh, path that I love those kind of things, so I'm fascinated
Mm.
about this. So yes, it's not just a bad thought of technology. No, I think it could be fantastic, and could be something amazing. And we need to know how to use correctly in our favor.
Right.
That's it. The day. You
Right.
know.
Yeah. And I think ethically as well, right? You gotta. I think you have to learn to be ethical as these technologies, because they're developing so fast. That I heard this somewhere. Um, the question is sometimes not can we do this, but the question is should we do this, right? So you got to be careful when it comes to this type of explosionary technology and advances. And the fact is, it's here to stay. It's going to get worse in that respect, and so we have to adapt. But at the same time, I think we have to stand more for human perception and human touch. You know what I mean? So not to say, okay, AI is going to take over the world, but say, okay, it's going to take part of the world. But, at the end of the day, it's always about people, regardless of what happens. I hope so, right? We'll see. And I think on that note, that was an amazing conversation, man. Thanks a lot. 1.5 hours, pure magic and wisdom and marketing and casino and gambling and so much value. So I love having you on board, man. For the good people, where can they find you? LinkedIn, Instagram? Where do you want
Yeah,
people to go?
I can share my LinkedIn and my Instagram in the links for sure. Let's connect. Let's talk about business ideas. I love to connect with people. And man, thank you for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. You are such a smart brain. Like it's fantastic. It's an inspiration for me too. So thanks for this time. Always a pleasure to have a deep conversation and every aspects of life here, like business and
Right.
like philosophy. And you are so
Yeah.
diverse, and I love to have a chat with you always.
Awesome, man. Yeah, so definitely coming back for sure. I look forward to that. And for the time being, check out Pedro's information: LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, TikTok, Sing. What else? Email. Do you want SMS as well?
Some Slack and Skype. Let's share everything. Let's
Uh,
bombard us.
Reach out to Pedro, talk to him, make a project with him. He's awesome. And I'm sure your brand is going to profit. So thanks a lot, man, for the conversation. Always a pleasure. Always awesome. And I look forward to next time.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. See you soon.
Beautiful.